What if the next church plant starts with your next conversation? Not a launch team, not strategy, not a building, just one simple conversation with someone far from God. If you don't know me, I'm Joshua Putnam with Continental Baptist Missions, and in this video, I want to help you simplify church planting. In Matthew 9:35, we get a snapshot of how Jesus actually did ministry. It says he went to the villages and the cities, and he was teaching, preaching, and healing. But I don't want you to miss this. He was always moving towards people. He didn't wait for ideal conditions. He didn't wait for people to come to him. He went to where people were in need. And I think that's where a lot of us get stuck in church planting. We think it starts with systems, but the reality is it starts with people. Let me read this passage for you. Matthew 9:35 says, "And Jesus went throughout all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every affliction." This is not just a summary of what Jesus did, but I believe this is a model for us to follow. The first thing we learn from this is that Jesus moved towards people. Notice the rhythm. He went, he taught, he proclaimed, and he healed. But it all started with him going. Jesus went. I need you to hear this. You don't need a platform to start ministry. You just need proximity to people. You don't even need a church planner. You don't even need a pastor. You just need to live life on mission and have intentional conversations. Jesus didn't build a crowd first. He engaged individuals. And if we're honest about church planting, we're probably waiting. We're waiting for the right city. We're waiting for the right team. We're waiting for the right funding. Meanwhile, Jesus is telling us to go. Go to the person who's right in front of you, because mission doesn't start on launch day. Mission starts with everyday conversations. So here's the next thing for us to remember. Every interaction has kingdom potential. Here's what we often overlook. Every interaction Jesus ever had carried kingdom weight. Think about it. One conversation with a Samaritan woman and an entire town was impacted. One conversation with a tax collector, and we have the book of Matthew. Jesus never treated people like interruptions. He treated them like potential. And I wonder, how many potential church plants are inside of conversations we've ignored? That coworker, that neighbor, the mom at your kid's game. You see, we often think we need to start with a crowd, but Jesus started with people. Those people became disciples, and those disciples became the foundation of the church. Maybe the problem is not that we don't have a place to plant, it's that we're ignoring the people that are right in front of us. I believe we overcomplicate church planting. Let me say this as clearly as I can. We have overcomplicated what Jesus made simple. I get it. Strategy matters, teams matter, doctrine matters, but none of that replaces personal engagement with people. You could have the best launch in the world, but if you're not engaging people far from God, you're not planning a church. You're organizing an event. Church planting is not primarily about gathering a crowd. It's about making disciples, and disciples are made one conversation at a time. That's how Jesus did it. And if we miss that, we miss the foundation of the church. So we need to start seeing people the way Jesus did, not as interruptions, but as hurting people. If we continue to read through this passage, it tells us that when Jesus looked at the crowd, he was moved with compassion. His heart was broken for them. Why? Because they were harassed and they were as sheep with no shepherd. Jesus saw them not as projects, not as interruptions, but as people who were hurting and lost and needed help. And when you start seeing people like that, you won't avoid conversations. You'll start moving towards them because you realize now that those conversations aren't just small talk, but it's actually kingdom work. So here's my challenge to you. Stop waiting for the right moment and go engage people. This week, one person. Pray for them. Have a conversation with them. Share the gospel with them, because that one conversation could turn into a disciple, and then that disciple could make another disciple. And eventually you have a group of disciples, and one of them probably now is growing into a leader. You never know what God can do with that group that could become the next church. Isn't that the way it happened in the New Testament? The Christians were scattered and they kept telling people about Jesus. They had conversations. Disciples were made and churches were formed. Don't overlook small beginnings. That's exactly where Jesus started. Pastor or church planter, let me encourage you that church you're dreaming about might actually be in the next conversation that you just haven't had yet. And church member who maybe has no idea about church planting or never really thought about it, let me encourage you that those conversations that you have with people, could be far greater of an impact than you could ever imagine, because out of those conversations could be the seed that begins to start a new church. You have no idea what God is going to do with the gospel when you faithfully share it with others, as Jesus did. If this video helped you rethink church planting, subscribe, because we're building content to help you plant, revitalize, and lead spiritually healthy churches. And if you want more information about CBM, check us out at gocbm.org. I'll see you guys in the next video.